I'm Scott L. Miller. It's the 1st of December, 2022, and this is my vlog of daily life in León, Nicaragua. I'm hoping that I'm able to get this video out. My battery is going down extremely quickly. The camera has crashed easily a dozen times so far this morning, so it's a little bit tough to keep it working. It seems to be holding on okay at the moment, but we'll see. As I was turning it on, it dropped about 8%. So fingers crossed that we're able to get the video out. Anyway, today is Thursday, and our adventure today is dealing with taxes. Yes, so as many of you know, we have businesses here in the country, and late yesterday, I was going to say last night, but no, it was really during the day. Towards the end of the day yesterday, though, we were summoned, all the owners, everybody who invests, right? So this is a weird request. First of all, nobody anywhere requests all investors in a business to show up somewhere, but we were asked for all of the people who invest in our businesses, which is just 3 of us, but that's coincidental, needed to show up in person, first thing, not quite, this morning in Managua. That's a big ask, especially for people who have children and everything. So we had to arrange to have people at the house, which was not a big deal, but we had to do a bunch of things and get all prepared so that Paul and Dominica and I could get into the car early in the morning at like 7 o'clock and get on the road to go to Managua. And we didn't need to just go to Managua, but the far side of Managua during not rush hour, but during a busy part of the day. So we had to be, so our appointment was at 10, and we had our team meeting us there. You know, we have accountants and stuff because this is the tax office. They didn't tell us what this is about. So you're like, I don't know if we're in like trouble or if, I mean, we know we have regular business with the tax office, and sometimes they do want you to appear, but normally it's a rep, not the entire team, like, you know, one of us kind of thing. So we really didn't have a good idea what was going on. Our accountant didn't really know. They're like, we think it's just an interview, you know, and so, but you know, of course you're going to worry. So we ended up going into the tax office and spending about 3 hours getting there. What's interesting is the tax office is actually in a plaza, and that plaza has a Casa del Cafe, which is one of the coffee shops we really like. I mean, everyone likes it. It's the big Nicaraguan chain of like really fancy. It would compete with a Starbucks, except that's not really fair because Casa del Cafe makes good coffee, and Starbucks makes Starbucks. But the one that's there, I instantly recognized as the very first Casa del Cafe that we took the kids to right as we got off the airplane when we flew in early last year, so almost 2 years ago. And the quick story, I mean, I think it's on video, but we had gotten a private flight in with the dogs. We were the last flight in of the day, or right at the same time as the last flight of the day. And so they were just about getting ready to close the airport because there's no more flights. And we got stuck for forever in customs, which was just awful. It's hours and hours. And then that was the next 3 days following that are the days that I was stuck in Managua with Ricardo and Melvin trying to deal with all that stuff famously. So that was the story of my start of my time in Nicaragua, was being trapped dealing with customs for several days. But before that happened, we landed, we went through a long waiting in customs, had all of our stuff confiscated, told we had to come back the next day, started that whole thing. And when we were done with that, Melvin had a van ready to go, and Melvin was with us, and they immediately, we had been in the airport for so long that Luciana's like, I need a smoothie. And Melvin's like, I know where to go. And we went to this Casa del Cafe and got smoothies and stuff. And for about a year, Luciana was constantly like, I miss whatever place that was. It was so good. We like the food. We like the drinks. I want to go back there. And it took us a really long time before we found a Casa del Cafe locally and figured out that that's the place that we had gone, and took her there. And now she likes it. And we go there from time to time. But this time it was, I'm like, wait, this is the one that we went to. And I knew we were pretty close to the airport, so it made sense. I looked on the map. I'm like, this would have been on our path from the airport 2 years ago. And Dominica's like, oh my gosh, it is the one that we went to 2 years ago. That's really crazy. It is, I'm recording this on the 7th, which is the beginning of the 7th and 8th holiday, which is the Scream. Here, it's the day that the Screaming Mary thing. I'll give all the details later when you get to the 7th, but it's the larger of the 2 Screaming Mary holidays. We filmed the other one, I'm hoping, on the 7th, that I will get out and get some video for you guys because a lot is going on. We are also throwing an enormous party at the hotel on that day, which I made a short of and uploaded. So if you're not aware, We Got Gems is a big DJ event, and that is happening at the Simple Beach Lodge on the 7th, so in just under a week. And that's one of the reasons we have to be here today, is because this is part of the potential paperwork for that. Anyway, so we finally get into Managua, and we were told we had to be there at 9. The meeting was at 10. They said the way that it works, you have to be there an hour before, because what if the people before you cancel or get done early, they expect you to be waiting so you can just walk right in. And we're like, okay, that is annoying, but it makes sense. We understand. So we got there at 9, and our person who's supposed to meet us didn't get there at 9, so we just sat in Casa del Cafe. Remember, it's the same plaza. We can look in the door, and waited there and just had coffee and stuff. And while we were there, Dominica and I decided we needed to get these really cool Casa del Cafe cooler mug things. And then Paul's like, well, I want one. So we bought 3 of them, and it wasn't until we bought them that we realized they're $22 each. Which has got to be more than our tax burden, right? I'm like, we can't carry these coffee mugs around. It'll look like we're trying to bribe someone. They're worth too much money. You can't take these in your luggage. It would set off the, transferring money. Like, that's a crazy amount for a mug, but they are really cute. So, and you do get a discount on Casa del Cafe coffee, so I need to carry them around from now on. But anyway, so we got 3 of those while we were waiting. I will show them. And then our rep who was supposed to go in with us didn't show up until after 10. She was running late because of traffic and stuff. And we're like, what? We're the ones who were coming from a long way away. It was a very frustrating morning already, but the weather was beautiful. We were standing outside, and of course we had to have pants on and long sleeves and everything. And because it's a government meeting, you dress up to some degree. And we were like, wow, this is really taking a long time. It was very frustrating. And then when they finally let us in, they came out and they said, no, I'm sorry, this is a small office. Only one of you may come in. And we're like, but we were all summoned and required to be here. This was a big deal because we were all summoned. We knew one person had to come in. That was easy. We were prepared for that. This is a problem because they demanded all of us be here. They didn't need us at all. Now, we hypothesized that perhaps they just wanted to look out and make sure that we did really show up, and maybe they, checked from the windows kind of thing and then only needed to talk to one of us. I don't know. And the whole thing was maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Like, it was not long at all once we finally got in. And the whole thing was just going over paperwork we already knew, basically, explaining things we already knew, coming up with a number we basically already knew. But then, this is the funny part, they accidentally gave us the wrong number, or explained it wrong, or was explained to me wrong. And I said, this is the number we owe? And they said, yes. But they meant to say, that is the number you owe on. Meaning, this is the number on which you will be taxed, which was what we expected. And everything was exactly basically it was essentially supposed to be a meeting in which we confirmed our projected taxes and simply agreed to it, kind of thing. It was a very simple meeting, right? With no surprises, is what it was meant to be from both sides. And because they accidentally said this is the amount we owe rather than the amount on which we will be taxed, it was of course many, many times larger than expected. And it was an absolute panic for a little while we thought we owed, it would be the equivalent of owing in taxes your entire income, right? Instead of being taxed on your income, being taxed your income. Right? So we're like, that's impossible. There's no way to do that. And then after about 10 minutes, someone figured out what was wrong and is like, oh, no, it's just, a little percentage of this. And we're like, what? Well, of course we already knew that number. So it was kind of a frustrating morning. And at the end of the day, it was just a lot of driving around and waiting, 10 minutes of panic because we were told the wrong number. And then everything was as expected, and it was just whatever. And so we're like, what a morning. So we, at that point, we needed to get out of the city because we wanted to get out before traffic got bad and all that. So we headed back to León because there's so much to do. So we drove back to León, stopped on the way in Nagarote at one of the famous quesillo restaurants because Paul really likes quesillos. I'm not really a quesillo guy. Quesillos, for those who don't know, is one of the national foods of Nicaragua, and they're good in this isn't a kind of food I'm really into sort of way, but they're good. Like you try it, and I can tell why people like it. And it's a tortilla that kind of gives you a pancake kind of feel. It's a little bit thicker and spongier than a normal tortilla. So kind of like a pancake, as you can imagine. And then it is served with traditionally a huge amount of pickled onions that are chopped finely and then cover it, and then they pour and then they put a layer of cheese on it, and they pour cream all over it. Now, some places, when it's to go, or some places just always, they serve it in a bag, like a Ziploc bag or like a little sandwich bag. They just put it in and then they pour the cream on it. That's how we get it when we're on the bus. That's how you get it if you're getting it at a stand, if you're gonna walk around with it. And it's pretty messy, but you can walk around with it. I have a beard, there's no way I can walk around with it, but in theory, like, it works okay. And people who eat it all the time, you kind of become an expert at it, and it works. What they advertise in the menus and on the signage in Nagarote is that they put it on plates, and I've been told that in Nagarote it is eaten on plate, and in La Paz Centro it is traditionally eaten out of the bag, but it's always out of the bag when traveling, and you can order it either way anywhere you go. But some people like to say that the plate, like Dominica is very much, oh, you guys eat it off the plate, that's for tourists. But if you look around, every Nicaraguan in Nagarote is eating it off the plate. I'm like, we're surrounded by people at like a graduation party. There's no tourists here whatsoever. All plates. I'm like, the menu's plates, the signs on the building are plates. The bag, it's actually, I think, eating it out of the bag when you're in a sit-down restaurant is actually the tourist thing. And that's for to go. That would be like if you go to a Nicaraguan restaurant, like a sit-down restaurant, and order a Coca-Cola, you would expect it in a glass like anywhere else. But if you get it on the street to go, it comes in a bag, the same as the quesillos. And that's the Nicaraguan thing, is when it's to go to have it in the bag like this, and when it's in a restaurant to be the same as anywhere else, right? And so I think the quesillos are the same way. So if you were in a restaurant and they brought you a glass of soda and you said, oh wait, no, can you just throw that in a bag for me? They'd be like, what now? Like, they'd understand if you're taking it to go, but if you're gonna sit at the table and you want your drink in a bag, it'd be really awkward. Because like, you can't sit it down without it pouring all over the table. But you can kind of see tourists who know enough to know it's a thing. I think it's kind of touristy to actually get it in a bag when that's not the thing you're doing. But anyway, she was trying to make a big point that she knew how to eat it out of a bag. But of course, we've eaten them out of bags before. And if you don't have to, you don't want to. But it's basically this tortilla, this white cheese, lots of onions, and a cream over it. And there's a similar food up in Matagalpa that I like quite a lot. So the overall style works for me, but the quesillos, with the amount of onions, and I like onions a lot, but it just doesn't do it that much for me. Like a couple bites of it, I'm always like, oh, the first few bites, I'm always like, yeah, this is good. But literally the fourth or fifth bite, it's too heavy. It's all too much onion, too much heavy cream and everything. So it's, I think it would be really good as like a tiny side piece to something else, but it doesn't really work that way. So it's done as a meal. It's very cheap. Lots of people eat it, and you should try it. It's definitely a thing. If you're in Nicaragua and you're coming through, especially the Leon Road, and you're in Nagarote and La Paz Centro, either one, stopping and getting quesillos on the road, that is the thing to do. If you've never done it, you got to do it. And I will do a whole video of it at some point and go to both and show them, because they are good. I can eat them. It's just it gets pretty heavy pretty fast. And traditionally, Nagarote and La Paz Centro are both consider themselves the home of the quesillo, and they have slightly different styles, like I mentioned, and they compete with each other as to who makes the better one. And so that's kind of a point of interest there. That's their big thing, the quesillo center. Now, of course, if you're in Managua, you can get quesillos. If you're, like I said, if you're on buses, sometimes you can get quesillos. You can get them all over. But like, I can't walk around here in Leon and just get a quesillo. I'm sure somewhere somebody has one, but it's not normal. I would expect it more like at a festival. Is that a thing? A fiesta, a festival, or something like that. Not just like a restaurant having them. Normally, it would be we're bringing in a regional thing from somewhere else, kind of thing, like doing pupusas from El Salvador. But this is the departamento that has them, because Nagarote and La Paz Centro are the two satellite cities of Leon. So it's Leon's satellite cities, but not Leon proper. So seriously, we never find them in Leon, which is a little bit surprising considering it is from the departamento and their home region is only 45 minutes away or less, 30 minutes away. So that's kind of interesting. That is the quesillo. So that made for a really crazy morning. It was mid-afternoon by the time we got back, and of course, getting back in the afternoon like that. We are way backed up on work. There's all kinds of stressful stuff going on. So I got dropped off at the house so that I could get right to work and do my best trying to catch up. And today's events are really a big trigger as to what led to me being so far behind on the videos, that this is such an incredible struggle for me to catch up, is because I lost a day with no warning. The entire day of sunlight just wiped away, and no means for me to get any video work done. I was already a little bit behind. We've been pretty busy with this. This knocked me out completely. Paul and Dominica had to run to the beach and do work out there at the moment we were back. Like, we're just behind on everything now. We were running tight before we lost an entire day. So this was a rough one, just as far as workload and stuff goes. So that was our day. Thanks for joining me. Please remember to like and subscribe. Ask any questions below. Leave your comments. Get down there. Get involved in the conversation. I really appreciate all the interaction that we have on here. If you'd like to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee. That comes directly to me. So many people have done that this week. Thank you so much. Really makes a difference. And yeah, if you'd share on social media, that would be great. And I will see all of you tomorrow.